what is going on within the black marriages, because some of y'all are struggling right now. And it doesn't even have to be because you were already having problems and this caused some problems. I mean, you can look at what's going on, and if there has been any type of talk disconnect between a husband and wife, this is going to do one or two things. It's going to bring that in, or it's going to separate it even more.
Well, and personally, I'm what I've been hearing also is everybody's having different experiences in this situation based upon whatever their previous experiences dealing with these issues. Black men are having some serious issues because a lot of things come up in them. Black women are having some issues because there's a lot of things that's coming up in them. And although we trying to do some things based upon being what you would call solidarity, we trying to be connected as a unit. People are having some struggles.
I mean, for example, one of the things that comes up with husbands and wives is our black mothers are concerned about their black children. They're concerned about their black sons, and then they forget about their black husbands.
Right.
And while I totally get being concerned about your baby, I mean, I had 2 issues last week with baby girl, and you know what? It was all over her and the protest, and what we were saying was the curfew and where she could go and where she wasn't going to go, because I was worried about her safety. And I mean that we had 2 incidents within 1 week, stuff that we wouldn't even be a conversation.
Right.
But we had to suddenly come up with some new guidelines about how this family was going to function and how we were going to communicate, like overnight. And we really weren't prepared for it. And even with that, so I can see how a mother would hone in into what it is that you need and you want to do for your child, and then forget about your man over here, because he grown, he got it, right?
And so you would think.
And right, that's what we want to believe.
Right.
And so, the first thing we want you to remember, couples, is be a team. If the two of you don't agree on the topics and the solutions, and in regard to the protests and the police brutality and the racism, whatever it is that you want to call your platform, because there are so many platforms up underneath this particular one.
Right.
If y'all don't agree on it, then don't talk about it. Just leave that branch right there, because if y'all continue to try to go out there and have that conversation, that branch is going to break. The other thing in regard to helping your black man, backing him up right now, I will tell you, please do not tell a man to man up. Let me tell you what man up sounds like. Because men, in their minds, they walk around and live in man up position. They're men. That's what men do. But when you tell a man who is having something going on in his head to man up, what he hears is, you're on your own. Handle that by yourself.
I'm going to say something here, and this has probably been my issue with everything that's been going on. And this is why I'm actually talking to brothers. I want to be in a position talking to brothers, because as Naila had just pointed out, a lot of emphasis does go to our children and especially our sons. But there's been so much or so many instances where black men, especially my age, maybe a little younger, maybe a little older, who have endured so much. And that's not to say our women have endured any either. And I don't want to negate that. But I really do feel like, as a man, as a black man, unless it's some type of chant or some type of, rallying point, that we really are forgotten in this situation. It's, support your black man, but then there's, it seems like There's no follow up to that, and as a black man, it leaves us kind of out there stirring. It's a thing. It's a systematic situation that's going on. Systematic racism. Police brutality. They're killing us. They're killing our women too, but they're killing us, and they're killing us without a thought.
So you're saying the whole thought of black men matter, black lives matter, I see you king, and then saying, you a man.
You're right. You
You
know,
you you got this.
right. And where that leaves us, a lot of us, and some of us, it leaves us like, what the hell? Really. And it's so much conflicting situations going on within that person, within that man.
And I think it will also make him withdraw.
Yes.
And then when he withdraws, and then it comes out, those thoughts that Hassan is talking about, and then other ones that never get expressed, they may come out as aggression. And then you wonder why he acted like
Right.
that.
And then he gets caught into the whole black man angry syndrome again. And now he's getting pigeonholed into that, where there's some real deep, things that's going on within him.
Okay. Yeah, in regard to what Hassan said, the deep things that are going on within him, ask him. Ask him to tell you the things that he hasn't been telling you, that he's never told anyone in regard to racism, in regard to experiences with the cops. I don't know a black man who hasn't had them. And I mean, I can remember things that were told to me as early as, my teens. Where you at, baby?
It's just rough. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish talking, please.
And this is what happens when the stories come up, because men don't forget. They remember them. And Hassan, he old school. And not just old school, he old school G. And I know he's had experiences with law enforcement. Some have been pleasant, and most of them have not been. So I know, the things that he has that have that are within him and contribute to the man that he is right now. So for your man, ask him to tell you, because I bet there's some things that he's never shared with you. I bet there's things he's never told anyone, because men will have so many of them. And sometimes, it's like there's not even a story to share, because I'm just glad I got away alive. I remember the stories that I would hear at the kitchen table and at family gatherings. The only difference now is that they're being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
They've already been recorded in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I remember them. I don't need an iPhone to record the things that I've heard from my family members, from the men I love, even from my 15-year-old son. My 15-year-old son was thrown off of Amtrak because he was accused of something. And he said, no, I didn't do that. And other people acknowledged that he didn't do it. It was something about a seat. And he had too much bass in his voice. He didn't sound 15. I guess maybe he didn't look 15. He sure acted like it to me. But my son was thrown off an Amtrak in the middle of nowhere. No, they didn't wait till they got to the next stop. And so that's not his first story. That's just a story when he was 15. He has others. And what does a 15-year-old little boy do in the middle of nowhere when he's been kicked off a train that his parents have paid for? What are his options? And where do you think a child puts that? And then to hear today this outpouring all over the world, and knowing that internally you've had an outpouring for years. So please, go to even your sons. Because your sons probably have some things too that they haven't shared with you. And I'm going to tell you why they haven't shared them, because they may have been somewhere that they don't want you to know about. So they don't tell the story to you. I remember my oldest son, he was 17. And again, somewhere he didn't have no any business being. But he was with a group of friends. It was a group of them. And he wasn't arrested. It's been a couple of years, and I don't even know what they were pulled for, um, but they were. And I remember he told me, the cop, he was questioning me. He was questioning me, and he was just asking me, because he couldn't get him on anything. He hadn't done anything. He was asking him, "Give me a name. I know you because you look like you bad. You know someone else who's doing something they don't have any business doing."
Right.
And he pressured him. And I told him, "Baby, you were 17. Why didn't you call me?" And he was afraid to call me. He didn't know what to say. He didn't know if he could call me. And see, and these are all the things that happen. And you're not there, you're not present, your child doesn't know what to do. Now, I believe today that my kids are a bit more armored, but in that moment, and we tell them, don't do this, don't go here, don't wear that. But then they can still do all of those things and
And
still
still
get
get caught
caught
up.
up and still get caught up in a moment. And I remember my son, he did give a name. And I was even concerned about that, because here you did, you gave a name. You threw someone under the bus. Do you not realize that that cop, he will go somewhere else. He will use that same MO, that same method. And you don't know when someone's going to give your name.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that to someone. You don't do that to someone else just to save yourself. Now, we know most of the time people will do it. Let somebody get in trouble, the lips get loose. But there were so many lessons in that, and I'm hoping that he got them. But the key thing that I want to share is that out of nowhere, he's not charged with anything. He's not arrested. Only thing is I believe that you can tell me something where I can go lock somebody up.
Mm-hmm.
And to put the 17-year-old in this position so that you can go somewhere else and go get you an arrest.
You know, one of the things that I really want to make sure we emphasize here is that yeah, we looking at police brutality. They're killing us out here, and whatever the case may be. But they're killing us in more than just one way. The system is killing us in more than one way. It's trying to defeat us in more than one way. And I don't know, men, as a man, you feel the brunt of that. You feel a lot of that. You feel the weight of that a lot of times, and there's no way of really trying to get that off.
Mm-hmm.
We run into a situation where we can't get it off, and then it comes out in ways that are not healthy. It comes out in ways that even cause problems between a man and his wife.
I mean, we had a couple that they were arguing over lunch. And it really was, he just didn't have it that day.
Right.
What was going on, those were his words, is that I just really did not have, the capacity that day. Someone said that sort of thing can also get you killed. Can you elaborate? I don't know what it is that you mean. Do you know what it means?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they mean by it,
Right.
but I mean, I can take that several different ways than what I just said.
Right. I don't. If you could elaborate on that for us, brother. And as Hassan was just saying, the things that it does to a person, and urge your man to be honest and to share things that happen beyond racism. Because it's not just racism, it's not just police brutality, it's things that go on in the workplace. It's the
Right, which
system.
is still more racism, which
Yeah.
is still more oppression,
Right.
and that's what we're not really equating this to in a serious in a deeper manner. that this really comes out to be more oppression. This is a more of a capping or a twisting down or a holding back, and people will sit there and say, well, this isn't a this time here isn't a time that this happened. This is 2020. Hell, it's happened even more probably in 2020 because it has so many technical.
It can be subtle
Right.
now. You can do it in ways that are legal
That
now.
illegal. You know what I mean? That's so covert that you can't even scream against it. It's blatant in your face, and you can't even scream against it because somebody's going to just dismiss it because you just using a race card or you just using a black card or whatever the case may be. When this stuff is serious. This stuff is serious. And as men, what can we do? I understand that there are a lot of outlets for sisters and women, I guess, to kind of be able to be vulnerable and be open and talk about it and things of that nature. There, me as men, we don't really have that because now we've been conditioned,
not to say anything.
To take all that foolishness on.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that the protest movement as it is right now, do you think that it takes away from the experience of the black man?
I mean, they doing what they got to do out there. I ain't even mad at what they doing. What I am saying is that even with the protesting that's going on, some dude is still experiencing the aspect of this racism
right now. That's
You
true.
know,
That's true.
some cat is if he at work, the unemployment rate 16 some percent. Black people, black men, these things are rough. These things are rough for a black man, and then he gets he gets into the mindset of only being it, doing what he got to do, or being caught up on that whole philosophy of doing what he got to do, and this stuff plays a lot on the psyche of a man.
Because it does. It happens it's the microaggressions.
Exactly.
It's the comments that people make about a black man and his sexuality. Women, we talk about being catcalled and the thoughts that, and the sexuality and even the promiscuity that is associated with black women. But then black men, they get it too. And we don't necessarily always talk about those things.
Exactly. And as a man to man, from man to man position, somebody may or may not like this. I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't care. What I'm about really getting ready to say. Even when you hear white men saying that now they can identify with the black movement or a black man, or you hearing gay people talking about they the new black and all this old type of stuff here, they never experience the BS that we have to experience, that we have to endure. Never, 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 never. And we still have to be in a position of, okay, we got to choke that shit up. We got to choke it in.
Or it's either holding it in or constantly having to explain it.
Yeah,
and then trying to explain it in a way that's going to be comfortable for another person.
Damn comfortable. Damn comfortable. And I'm saying, as black men, we need somewhere to get this stuff out.
Okay. Now, speaking of that, tomorrow at 8:30, we have an email where you can email at info@thatclaycouple.com, and I'll put it here, and so that you can join in on a Zoom that is for black men only, for y'all to show up and to have the conversations and the dialogues that you don't have anywhere else.
Well, and I purposely wanted to stay. There's not gonna be any type of scholars something there talking. It's
no
not gonna
interview.
be no interviewing. It's not gonna. This is really simply for men of color, black men, to get together, and we have this forum. We have this forum, and if you get it off your chest, you got another black man, you can get that junk off your chest, you can get it off your head, whatever the case may be. because nobody's going to be able to identify with you like we can identify with you.
All right,
You know,
so y'all send your emails, and as always, let us
you can
know.
inbox us here. We can
You
send it
can. You
to
can
you.
also
You
inbox us.
know,
That'll work too. And let us know what you think in the comments. Share, repost, tell someone else about it.
please do,
I
please do.
promise you there's someone who needs to
Sisters,
hear.
your husband, your brother, your son, it don't matter. Sign them up your damn self. I don't even care. You know what I mean? Put them in there.
Because we don't have the age limit. There's no age.
Right, put them in there. I mean, even for a young guy, even for a young brother, young man, being able to just hear what some of the old heads might be going through, and even what he may be experienced, to even maybe get some wisdom in that whole situation.
And I also believe that when they're young, sometimes they experience racism but don't know what it
I don't
is.
even know what it is.
They don't have the words for it and don't know
Mm-hmm.
that that's what that is in that moment because
Mm-hmm.
of just being not young and naive. All
Mm-hmm.
right, so y'all info at thatclaycouple.com. Let us know what you think.
Please do. And I ain't apologizing. Hey, I